Hello everyone, it's Lynn and welcome to the channel. I want to do something kind of fun today as it's the holiday season, okay? And for anyone watching in the future, it doesn't really matter that it's the holidays. It's just kind of getting me to think about this one question, you know? You remember when you used to get asked, if you could invite anyone, living or dead, to your house for dinner, who would it be, you know, kind of thing. And I thought that it would be kind of fun because as we're getting into the holidays and we're getting together with loved ones and we're having Friendsgiving, whatever, okay, I got to thinking, you know, yeah, I want to have like a dinner party, okay? I want to get some like finger foods because I like finger foods for certain like chill parties, and especially like this like dinner party atmospheric kind of thing. I like to have like finger foods, right? So I've got finger foods, I've got red and white wine, got some tea and coffee and things like that, and I just want to have a chill night. Okay, so it's the evening time. It's kind of like this time before, right before twilight, you know, and people are starting to come, right? And my list is not as eclectic as I would have thought. It's very like this is going to become kind of poetic now that I've seen my list. It's like very poetic and probably a chill atmosphere, not really a rave, you know? So I've got in my head for my dinner party, I've got like the table with the food, and I'm not fancy, so I've got like loose tea, but I've got, you know, like available, but then I've got, you know, the coffee pot going, right? And then I've got my wine, the wine bottles and wine glasses set up on the food table, but then like some charcuterie boards and things like that. For the layout, I've got some small tables, like some card tables, like bistro size tables set out so that people can kind of form their own groups, but enough room so that people can flit, right? That's kind of what I like. I like people to feel like they can sit on my couches. They can take their shoes off if they want. Not that any of them would, but they can take their shoes off. They can, you know, they can like walk around. They can whatever, bob to some music that might be happening. So as people in this imagined party, right, as they show up, I'm kind of acting the hostess, and it can kind of get disheartening to be the hostess sometimes because you feel like you're the one that's taking the coats and showing everyone where the bathroom is and saying, you know, make yourself at home. And you're saying that every time someone shows up, right? And and then you kind of notice, like after like the fifth person's shown up, you've been standing at the door taking coats instead of, and and conversations have already started, and you're like, dang. So I think that if I ever did have this imagined party, I'd want to be more involved with the people, you know, like they can come in the door, they can knock, I'll answer the door, and then just be like, hey, make yourself at home, and that's it, you know, and then like turn around, go back to whoever. Okay, and that's about the rub of it, you know. And then they can, like, if they have to go to the bathroom, and it's like, yeah, first door on the right, you know, like not terrible, like not terribly hostess minded. I want to be more people minded for this dinner party that I've never had. So who do I have at this party? Nick Cave shows up because I think I like him. You know, I think that I would want him at my party. Now, his plus one, I imagined Hildegard being his plus one. The sad, brooding religiosity that Nick Cave seems to have, he might want a saint or an angel to be coming in with him, right? Now, it really could be his wife, okay? She's invited too. Susie is invited too. I think that I would like to talk about fashion with her a little bit. But anyway, I feel like Hildegard of Bingen, like, you know, Hildegard, like from the 1100s or whatever, she's in her nun frock, okay? And she kind of comes in trailing Nick Cave. So here they are, here they come. Again, I feel like Hildegard's his plus one in some kind of weird way. Like he's brought her, but he didn't really realize that he brought her with him. So Hildegard and him come in, and they're seeing what's available to eat, but neither one of them pick any food up. and they kind of just pick a table and just sit at it, right? And I think, well, no, I think Nick makes him a glass of wine, but Hildegard's sitting there with nothing. And then I think I invited Audre Lorde. Okay, now when Audrey shows up, I'm taking their coat and I tell them, I'm like, I'm kind of giddy about it, but because I'm telling them, like, we share a birthday. How cool is that? And they look at me with like this, over 1 million people probably have our birthday. It's not that special. And I'm kind of taken aback by it, but I laugh it off, right? I laugh it off and I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. Yep, you're so right. Hope we can get together before the night ends, you know? And then they go over there and they sit down, right? And they, like, again, they're picking table and they're trying to, like, they're introducing themselves, because I don't know who knows whom, okay? But so, like, they go over and introduce themselves to Nick and Hildegard and, you know, whatever. So I invited Audrey. And then Clarice Lispector, because I love her, okay? So I really like her, but she comes in, and instead of eating, she gets some wine and sits down and then immediately asks me for an ashtray and then proceeds to chain smoke, okay? Chain smoke while she's talking to everyone, okay? So everyone's kind of having some chill conversations, and then Patti Smith shows up in her iconic outfit of her watch cap and t-shirt with a button down on top, jeans, and her Converse. Okay, so she comes in looking like herself and immediately goes over and talks to Audrey for a little bit, and they have like this, like they've had a conversation that ended abruptly, and they've kind of like re-upped a conversation that no one else knew that was going on. So they're talking amongst themselves. Nick Cave's kind of listening. And some people are eating and some aren't. I think Baudelaire shows up too. Because, I mean, he's like my favorite poet. But he's so many of these people I feel are so introverted, right? In large ways. So these pockets of conversations that are going on are probably profound and poetic, but really kind of mundane in large ways. They're probably really mundane, and people kind of are trying to relate to one another from these differing time zones too, you know. And I think Patti comes over and she like gets some food or whatever, and then her and Nick start talking about music, and then they start complimenting Hildegard about her compositions that she wrote. And so the conversation starts to gear towards music a little bit. And it's kind of so cool, because when I thought about this, I thought this is the moment that Nina Simone will show up. Okay. And so she very much does. Nina Simone comes in, and her plus one is a jazz guitarist. Okay. And they brought their guitar with them. So again, the conversation's pretty chill. It's kind of on compositions and writing music and whatever. And then Nina comes in like this bluster, and her musician friend comes in behind her, and he's wearing this like fedora-like hat. And they're dressed to the nines. She's got this like wrap shirt on that fits her like a glove, okay? And this like nice slacks. He's in like this cool suit. Everyone really looks like themselves. Like Nick is in like this dark rat packy Armani, okay? Pretty on point for him. And let's see, Audrey, I think, is in a long sleeve t-shirt. Well, then, like, not too much longer after that, Frida Kahlo shows up, okay? And she's brought her own, it looks like a lawn chair thing. I'm not really sure if this was a thing for her, but it looks like a folded lawn chair. And she says that when she gets tired, or when she gets to, like, her back starts hurting from sitting in these, like, my hard chairs, she will pull out her lawn chair thing, or whatever she calls it. So I kind of stuff it in the closet with the coats and say, yeah, sure, okay. And she's wearing this gorgeous Mexicana dress, of course, with flowers in her hair, makeup on, you know, on point, unibrow on point. She kind of flips about. Her and Nina, you know, really have a connection right away. So now everyone is sitting and talking. Now Clarice is so quiet that I have to go up to her and say, hey, you know, like, have you introduced yourselves? Like, do you know everyone? Being the hostess, okay? And then she just has this, like, enigmatic gaze. The way she's looking at you. Like, she's looking deep into your soul. Still smoking. And she's like this, you know, like, well, like this, you know, like. But she does. I eventually she kind of like cools down a little and starts to kind of talk to people. But she's not a musician, right? So she hasn't been able to put together any like responses to the music portion of the conversation, right? But then the conversation turns to poetry and to words. Baudelaire, he's 4 glasses of wine in now probably, and so he's getting animated in this like drunken, tortured poet way that he would. And so him and Patty start really like, they start laughing about something, like I think maybe she makes a joke about something and they start laughing, but he starts like flitting about talking about words and stringing them together. Nick has something to say on that, and and then the conversation really turns about words. And then Nina gets up and like hollers over at the living room. The musician that she brought with her, I can't remember his name. I can picture his face. But she goes up, she like hollers, says, hey, give me a beat. And he's sitting on the couch. He's not even over on the tables, okay? He's sitting on the couch and he's like got his guitar. He's getting his guitar out of its case. And she's like, give me a beat. And then she like comes over, grabs the hat that he's wearing, puts it on her head, and stands at the fireplace and starts, I don't know, scatting? Maybe doing some slam poetry, but it's to the beat of this like strumming that this musician is doing with his guitar. That seems to be kind of heartbeat like, right? Like a like really scat like, okay? And so she kind of like, she's doing this and it's like so rich, okay? And then everyone's kind of like nodding along, right? So chill. And anyway, so she does that. She's like doing this kind of skit thing, like, and then I can't tell that Frida's dress thing has deep pockets, but they have pockets because she starts like pulling out a notebook and a pencil from there, and starts like scribbling notes and writing things down. And then I noticed that Patty's doing the same thing, right? And both of them actually have congregated to the living room or sitting on a couch too. And so they're sitting here listening to Nina, taking notes. I think Frida's probably sketching some too. It's like she's got some sketches she's doing of people's faces and stuff, and like the way that they're holding themselves. So I think that's what Frida's doing, and Patty's taking notes. And I saw when she was trying to sit down that I think Patty had a book in her back pocket, but I'd have to think about which book. Probably Rimbaud, if I knew Patty, which I don't. Okay. I only think I know her. So, but she's got like this like pocket edition of Rimbaud in the back of her pocket, and I think she's like trying to like that's her +1, even though he never came, but he's with her in spirit, kind of thing. And so anyway, just fun to think about this kind of stuff. And then this party, this chill poetry, word, music thing's been going on for a couple hours now, and I have forgotten that I invited other people at this point, okay? And so Valley Myers shows up. And she's very animated. She comes in, and I'm already out of kind of like entry hostess mode at this point, so I'm not at the door to get her coat, okay? I don't think she knocks. I think she comes in, takes her coat off. She's wearing this like the bohemian skirt with her boots and, you know, her coal rimmed eyes. And she's got this like peasant-y shirt on, okay? And jewelry, lots of beads. She's really dressed up for the occasion. Okay. But she comes in, takes her coat off, and just flings it over my couch. Which I love. I love this. But who would come in that I didn't think I invited, but came in kind of like Valley's plus one? And that is Florence Welch from Florence and the Machine. Okay? So her and Valley come in together, and it sounds like they're drunk, like they went somewhere before this and they got drunk, and now they've come to my chill party. But when they get here, their coats are flung over the couch, and Valley immediately goes to the food table, okay? And she's talking to I think she ends up talking to Hildegard for a little while, and then she throws her hand up at Audrey and says, hey, I need to talk to you about something, and then fills her plate. And then with a mouthful of food, Valley kind of goes over there, and they start talking about this feminist thing that Valley wanted to talk to Audrey about. And then Nina, having already done her poetry reading or her skit thing, has gone over there and done that. People are still kind of milling on the couches. The food is everywhere. Oh, and then I have to tell Patty that, because Patty doesn't know, she's never been to my house before, I have to tell her, hey, I made you a pot of coffee, because I know she likes coffee. And she's like, oh, yay, and then gets up and goes and makes herself a cup of coffee. And I think Nick joins her, because he's kind of had 2 glasses of red wine, but he needs to leave soon. So he's going to have some coffee to sober himself up before he goes home. Okay. And so that happened. But once Valley Myers and Florence get here, they go to they eat for a little while. Florence is flitting about. Florence is so flitty, okay? She's dressed in this beautiful, like, robin's egg blue lace thing from a vintage era, okay? Probably the 60s. And, like, just looking in her element. And she's flitting about and talking to Nick and Patty, and having been really inspired by so many of the people that are here, I would think, Florence has a lot of how-to-dos to go about. But then Valley, once she's like still a mouth of food, I think at one point I see a pickle masticating, she comes over to the record player, but I don't think that she would let us hear a whole song. So she's flitting through the records, and she puts a record down, listens to a half of a song, half of a beat or something, and then takes it out and puts another one in, right? And all the time she's kind of bobbing, right? She's kind of bobbing. Florence starts to bob because they've got this kind of like weird twin energy happening. And they're starting to like, bob, and then they bob and weave. And then leave the record player going. She finally gets something that she likes. Not really sure what it is. Probably something instrumental. I would think it would be instrumental. And then she started talking about Foxy. Okay? And she started talking about this like fox spirit that she has. And then we kind of mourn pets and stuff. And the conversation, it flows so freely that I appreciate this imagined dinner party. To think of having certain people surround you, I don't know, it just makes you feel good, because it's kind of like a control. It's kind of like an in control way that you can have fun, like you handpicked these people. And especially like with family and the holidays and things, sometimes you don't get to choose, sometimes if you say, oh, that party would probably be fun. That party has this, and this coming, and I don't really want to deal with that. So then you have to really make choices about where you go, whose house, who you want to engage with and who you don't, okay? And choice, and then, okay, the point is that if I were to say, I don't want to deal with X, Y, and Z, okay? And then I would not be seeing the people that I do want to see by not going. So sometimes the decisions can be hard. But anyway, the point is that I really love thinking about this, And not to mention all of you, like thinking about having a grand dinner party and inviting some of you guys, you know? I mean, like, it'd be the same concept. Y'all would be like my celebrity dinner party guest, you know? Because we're from so, like, vast parts of the world. I don't know. So if the holidays are bogging you down and you just want a chill dinner party that you're in charge of, in charge of the list of people, then yeah, just, if anything, you could write it down in your journal. You know, think about it, write it down in your journal. Think about what you would have, what would you serve, you know, what's on tap. Who are you inviting? I hope everyone's having a magical day. Much love.